Okay, I'm here today with Mike's Uncle Mike's partner Peggy, Auntie Peggy. Both of you are from Kangaroo Island, and yeah, I think what I might do, Peggy, is start with the same question that I asked Mike. How do you end up on Kangaroo Island?
It's always a good question. I ended up in Australia from Germany, where I finished a PhD working with European green lizards, and I love reptiles, and Australia has larger reptiles. So I ended up on Kangaroo Island because the curator of herpetology from the South Australian Museum, Terry Schwanner, had been working with tiger snakes on all the offshore islands around Australia, including Kangaroo Island. And he was leaving his job, and so I was taking over the tiger snake research on Kangaroo Island. So the first time on the little ferry, because it wasn't the big ferry like now, the little ferry over to Kangaroo Island, there was a very strange feeling. I never thought I'd live on an island, you know. Going to an island was quite exciting, and it had a good feeling just going to Kangaroo Island. And so I went to do a postdoc working with tiger snakes and echidnas, and I ended up staying there 35 years. So Kangaroo Island is home, and it's the most beautiful place I know.
Okay, so how did you first meet Uncle Karno?
A very funny way. Mike and I not very often went for fish and chips, and one day we decided to go to the local fish and chip shop in Penneshaw, in Kingscote, and we're sitting there, you know, making our order. We sat down on a table, and then a small group of people came in, including Uncle Karno, and so he and Christine sat down at a table with another friend, and he looks over at our table, and he looks back at Christine, and he says, "I think that's Bonnie and Clyde sitting over there." And so that's how we met, in a fish and chip shop, and it was immediate sort of attraction. And we started talking. We started walking the land with him, and he with us, and we started sharing life.
Okay, so what's your fondest memory of Uncle Karno?
Only one fondest memory. Well, there's actually several in a couple different situations. I mean, one was not only do I work with echidnas and tiger snakes, I work with Rosenberg's goanna, and they're a very special lizard on Kangaroo Island, and for the Ramangeri, they're called Marnie. And so working with Rosenbergs, not a lot was known about their life histories. And so being a scientist and being a biologist, that was one thing that we were researching, the life histories of individual animals on Kangaroo Island. And Karno came one day while we were working with the goannas, and these goannas are very special because they lay their eggs in termite mounds. And we were interested in what's happening in the termite mounds and also what's happening with the young. And so we were actually taking the young out of the mounds to weigh and measure them very quickly to put them back in, because we didn't know a lot about their physiology. And Karno was with us that day, and he was standing there watching as we took the young out, and we would weigh them and we would measure them, and then we'd very quickly put them back in their burrows. And when we had the last animal, he said, "May I have that one to put back in?" And we said, "Certainly." Normally he was talking all the time, but no, that day he was very quiet and just watching. And so he took the last little baby goanna, the last Marnie, walked up to the mound where the young should go in, just opened his hand, and the young walked in. And after that he said, "I would like to share a story with you." And so he was sharing stories with us and with the many volunteers that we always worked with. And so we learned about Marnie and Marnie's life and how Marnie relates to the Ramangeri people.
And you can tell the other stories as well if you like.
The other
If
stories,
if you don't have like a number one, that's fine.
it's a really funny story actually, because Karno did very many different things. He didn't just work in the field with us. He was also doing security and things like at the South Australian Art Museum. And it was very interesting when Karno was dressed in his black uniform and his being a security guard, and standing there in the South Australian Museum. I was visiting one day at the Art Museum, and I saw him standing up in the corridor, just not making a movement, being very, very serious as he could, looking very, very serious. And there were people actually walking by and trying to figure out if he was a mannequin. So he was, and so when he was standing there very seriously and there was nobody else around, I went up to him and said, "You're looking very black today." And he burst out laughing. So he was a funny fellow, and everyone was, it was contagious with his laughter and with his sense of humor.
Yep. If you have more, you can add, but if that's it, that's fine too.
I'd have to think, but I mean, there were so many times when we would just go walking and sharing things from a scientific viewpoint and from his viewpoint, and seeing how the two came together so really well. And we've always, walking with nature on Kangaroo Island is one of the easiest things to do. But then also putting it into different dimensions, because Mike and I have always said there are parallel universes, and Karno always says he was walking in two worlds, but the two worlds are also the parallel universes between science and the magic of the generations and the people who've gone before us.
All right, so what does spiritual and integral mean to you, Peggy?
The one thing that I actually haven't heard today, and a saying that Karno had, was that spirit has no color, spirit knows no color, and spirit knows no gender. And I think, what it means to me is a universal feeling for everything that's out there. Just as the Ramangeri believe that Kangaroo Island is the gateway to the universe, Wirrajin is also sort of the gateway to the universe for people to understand what is happening and that we're not different. So, because spirit knows no color, it's something that should be shared. Surprising that more people don't embrace it, and what it means to me is that it just brings it all together.